full speech by Manoj, and hence I would like to not directly dive into my speech, and let's do one small experiment. Can everyone put your hand in front of you and try to see the height of each finger with respect to each other? And now try to bring all your fingers together, and you will see that it looks equal, though it's not equal, right? Do we treat thumb with lesser respect because it is shortest in height? Or does thumb think, oh, I'm shortest, I'll not do the work as my other fingers are doing? No. So, I'm extremely lucky to be grown up with parents who did not treat me differently than my brother. You must be thinking, it's a norm, right? You are supposed to be treated equally. What's so special about it? But from the place where I belong, especially developing countries, this is a privilege. Trust me. You are lucky if you are being treated equally. Why? Because of certain reasons. How everyone feels about women. I'll start with the society as the first factor. So 90% of women are expected to leave their jobs or careers, or expected to compromise their careers or jobs after they get married. Things are improving, but still. And the rest 20% or 10% who are working, you know how their day looks like? Husband wakes up at 8 o'clock in the morning, get ready for work, goes to work. But the wife, she wakes up early at 5 o'clock, does all the course of household things, cooks food for family, and then goes to the work. After coming back, husband might be watching TV and having fun, but wife should be still wrapping up her day with all the chores that is supposed to be done. To invest money on a girl's education is not something conventional. Some of my relatives told my parents, are you crazy? You're sending Ishwaki to USA for her studies. Just get her married and close the story. Let's say there are some good men in society who feel that they should do equal as women does, and if let's say they are cooking, everyone will tell wife, oh, you're so lucky your husband cooks. But if you see the flip side, if a woman earns more or have a good job with respect to men, society will feel ashamed of it, and maybe the toxic masculinity thing that Madhurya talked about in her last speech. So that comes into picture in that perspective. Another thing which maybe I face and many of women would have faced from place where I belong is, when I was 18, the questions which belongs to my authority, like what are you going to do after your bachelor's, were not asked to me, they were asked to my parents. So I'm always being hooked, my personality was always being hooked to my parents. Once women gets married, this authority moves from family to husband. She do not have her own self-identity. Now we know how society feels about women. Now let's go to how men feels about women. It's not unusual when I drive car and some of my friends will say, oh, Ishwaki is driving the car, please wear your seatbelts tightly. But I know a friend who is a guy, he drives worse, but no one will tell him that. I know it's totally fun, but that guy, it's the assumed capability of a man versus assumed capability, doubting capability of a woman. When you go in a family where I can drive and a guy can drive, everyone will tell me, can you let him drive the car and you just leave it? Something like that. When we go to play tennis, and our coach taught us to play backhand with just both the hands. There's one guy who just played with one hand. So a friend, out of curiosity, asked him, do you just play backhand with just one hand? And he said, playing with two hands is just for girls. Oh, okay. And that's why I thought, oh, that's why your ball do not go beyond the net. Okay, now the most important factor which is affecting women. Man is already having extra privileges in society where a family gathering will look like all women are cooking while men are having fun or enjoying playing the games. So to all the men out there, if you think that you have to say ladies first and you're not liking that fact, make sure that when your wife or your mom cooks, you are helping her. There are three kinds of women. One which is very strong and who do not like this all things. Second, who are just suffering. I asked many motherly figures in my family that why do you tolerate this thing? And she says that my culture has taught me that. And trust me, no holy scripture says that you are supposed to suffer. No. And for that, I want to give some examples. She is Queen Lakshmi Bai. She took care of her kid, but when her husband died, she fought for her own country, just like any man did. And remember one thing. If you're a woman, if you wear skirt or sari, you look beautiful. If you wear men's clothes, shorts and t-shirt, you will still look beautiful. You'll still look cool. But so I'm lucky that I've seen some of the women right now around me. Just one example I want to bring up is Diane Bryant. I'm sure whenever she is moving up her ladder in career, she is not giving her higher management some loop that because of her gender she is not performing well. I forgot to mention the third kind of women here. There are third kind of women who is taking perks of being women, taking perks of her gender. If you are in industry, you are supposed to deliver productivity and profits. If by mistake you are not delivering and taking advantage of your gender, that's wrong. I do not support that. And if you say you have family issues, it's either one of the things. You're not setting correct expectation with your husband that he is equally responsible for the family issues. And let's say if you believe that women can't do the things, it's not true. I just gave you some examples. I have my teammate to whom I see, I just get amazed. She is a woman. She has kid, one with 1 year and one is of 4 years. She manages her family, and when she is at work, she is highly effective. She is at top of all the issues. Not only does she know her own issues, she knows everyone else's issue. And I'm sure my manager will not doubt her any capabilities of her gender. So we have many examples over here, and all the women out there, make sure you follow these things. You set the correct expectation. You make sure your self-respect is intact. You have to demand if it is not. And you make sure that your self-identity is intact. And hopefully we find a world where we don't calculate equality of women in terms of the percentage, but it is something which is wholesome, just like air. Thank you.